Leo XIV, the first ever American Pope, will be formally inaugurated as the 267th pontiff today during a special mass in St. Peter's Square attended by world leaders, royalty and tens of thousands of believers. Crowds are expected to cram the square and surrounding streets in Rome for the formal celebration, which starts at 10 a.m. local time and includes the first ride in the White Pope-mobile by Pope Leo. The service will include the formal bestowing of the symbols of office, including the pallium, which symbolises the Pope's pastoral care for the Church, and the fisherman's ring, which symbolises the Pope's authority as the successor of St. Peter. Born in Chicago, the 69-year-old pontiff spent many years as a missionary in Peru and also has Peruvian citizenship, meaning that also he becomes the first pope from Peru. The Pope was elected on May the 8th after a short conclave of cardinals that lasted around 24 hours. He replaces Pope Francis from Argentina, who died on April the 21st after leading the Church for 12 years. A host of world leaders and dignitaries are set to attend, including US Vice President J.D. Vance, US Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, and heads of state from various countries. Many European royals will also be in the VIP seats near the main altar, including Spanish King Felipe and Queen Letizia. Millions of Portuguese voters are heading to the polls today in the country's third general election in as many years. Sunday's ballot was called just 1 year into the centre-right minority government's term after Prime Minister Luis Montenegro failed to win Parliament's confidence in March in a vote he himself proposed when the opposition questioned his integrity over the dealings of his family's consultancy firm. Polling stations opened at 8 a.m. local time and will close at 7 p.m. local time, with exit polls expected shortly after. Housing, immigration and government stability are among the top issues voters are considering. Montenegro's Democratic Alliance is leading in opinion polls with over 32%, while the centre-left Socialist Party trails at around 26%, but a clear parliamentary majority is unlikely. Turnout is expected to be low due to election fatigue. The far-right Chega party, polling at around 18%, remains third. Staying in Europe, and Romanians vote in the presidential runoff between hard-right Eurosceptic George Simion and centrist Nicursa Dan. Simion opposes military aid to Ukraine and criticises EU leadership, while Dan supports EU and NATO, promising to fight corruption. Polls are showing a tight race. The president in Romania holds significant powers over defence, foreign policy and military aid decisions. Experts warn that this election could affect Romania's economy and EU unity, with risks of capital outflows and political isolation if Simion wins. Turnout and the diaspora vote are key factors in who wins this election. The vote occurs alongside Poland's presidential election first round. This vote follows the cancellation of an earlier election over alleged Russian interference, which Simion exploited to gain support. Voting began at 7 a.m. local time and ends at 9 p.m. local time, with exit polls to follow. Analysts have warned of widespread online disinformation ahead of the vote. Poles have begun voting in a tight presidential election that could shape the future of the country's centrist government, as well as abortion and LGBTQ rights. Opinion polls show that the pro-EU Warsaw mayor, Rafał Trzaskowski, is leading with 30% of the votes, followed by nationalist historian Karol Nawrocki at 25%. Both are expected to advance to a runoff on June the 1st. The contest takes place as far-right populism gains traction across Europe. Polling stations will close at 9 p.m. local time, with exit polls again to follow shortly after. Results are expected by Monday. 13 candidates are running in this presidential election. The election campaign has centred mainly on foreign policy and Poland's relationship with the EU and United States, but social issues have also been prominent. Trzaskowski has promised to support abortion and LGBTQ rights. Far-right candidate Sławomir Mednes is polling third with around 12% of the votes. Mendes has been critical of migrants, and the EU governing coalition hopes a Tchaikovsky win will allow it to deliver campaign promises, including easing abortion laws. Heading over back to North America, and US President Donald Trump is taking aim at Walmart, blasting the retail giant for planning to raise prices. He says the company should eat the tariffs instead of passing costs to customers. Walmart announced this week that prices will climb as Trump's import tariffs continue to bite. The company's CEO and CFO both said retail margins are too thin to absorb the impact alone. Trump responded on Truth Social saying Walmart made billions last year and should not charge valued customers anything. He claimed Walmart and China should shoulder the burden, adding, "I'll be watching, and so will your customers." The president's comments echoed his long-standing claim that foreign nations pay the tariffs, but economists and retailers say the costs ultimately hit American consumers. Walmart, which has over 4,600 US stores, says price hikes will begin this month and accelerate in June. The retailer points to high tariffs on Chinese goods, once as high as 145%, now temporarily reduced to 30%. As talks with China continue, consumers may face tough choices ahead. Trump says higher prices are worth it to boost American industry. Well, that's all we have time for, but we will be back